Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Cody. Appreciate everybody coming. Like Cody said, my name is Ben Dickinson. I'm the Director of Quality in our Nexhub operations at Nextier, which is our 24/7 digital ops center. So today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the partnership between Nextier and Corva, how we utilize their platform, as well as some of the applications that we've already started developing within their dev center, mainly with a focus on how they're helping and affecting the visibility of our dual fuel frac fleets on location today. So just a little bit about Nextier in general, if anybody doesn't know who we are. So Nextier is an integrated completions frac service provider. On top of that, we also provide wireline and pump down services, coil tubing and cement, and most recently, Power Solutions, which is actually our natural gas fueling business. So as you can see, just like how Corva wants to be an all-inclusive data provider for our clients, Nextier also wants to be that on the service side of things. So just to give a little bit of history about Nextier's digital journey, and one of the reasons why we wanted to partner with Corva is we've actually been working on our digital platform and our infrastructure since early 2018. We started off kind of building our own cloud architecture, specifically with the intent of just using it internally in order to monitor and help lower costs of running our own equipment, mainly looking at maintenance and how we were taking care of our own pumps on location. So we spent about a good year to a year and a half actually building out that infrastructure and building our own platform in order to help monitor and control our equipment remotely here in Houston. We kind of grew that business internally into encompass engineering and also our logistics and sand delivery systems that we have on location today, till ultimately we came up with Nexhub. So Nexhub is our 24/7, 365 digital operating center that's located just down the road at our headquarters here in Houston. So within Nexhub, we have engineers, very similar to what you see downstairs here in Corva's Ops Center. That are focused on 3 different disciplines. The very first discipline is our digital operations engineers. So these are actually your traditional frac engineers that used to be on location, our frac vans. They're actually now located here in Houston, doing the same data analysis and delivery to our clients that we used to do locally in the frac vans, but they're doing it at scale for multiple clients here at one time in Houston. The second team is our equipment health monitoring team. This team is actually using the platform that I was just discussing in order to monitor and look at all of our maintenance cycles through all of our pumps that we have across the company. So it's these engineers' jobs in order to look at the real-time stream, as well as use our platform, which has logic and machine learning built into it, in order to predict and prevent failures from happening to our equipment on location, in order to prevent heavy CapEx-ridden failures, in order to reduce overall maintenance costs of all of our fleets. The very last team is our logistics control tower team. These engineers are actually controlling every single truck that is moving within Nextier, whether they're delivering sand, delivering chemicals, or just a fleet movement from pad to pad. These engineers are now solely responsible for controlling all of the movements that we have within the company and coordinating them appropriately to do that at the lowest possible cost with the least amount of trucks on the road. So with this giant digital infrastructure that we built and with Nexhub, probably the one thing that you've noticed that I haven't said is it's all internal. We have nothing external, right? So we were kind of at a crossroads in the company about a year ago where we had to make a decision where we were either going to invest another 3, maybe even 4 years of more capital infrastructure in order to develop a customized platform for our clients to also see what we can see, have the same type of benefits that we've gotten from our digital infrastructure, or we could go to the market, see what else is out there, talk to our clients, see what they are using, see what they see, and see what they want from a digital platform, and go from there. And every time we went to a client's office, Corva was always one of the first names. So obviously we have now announced that we have now fully partnered with Corva. And as I know you've heard all of the presentations today, there's obviously tons of benefits from that side. And I'm going to go into a few more from the service company's perspective and why we believe this partnership is great. But we're very happy to announce that all of our fleets are now going to be hosted by Corva. This includes all of our fracturing data, our wireline, our pump down data. Hopefully soon into next year, we can move on to our coil tubing data as well. We're very far along into the partnership at this point. We're a little over a year. And right now we're about 50% covered on our fleets right now, with the goal to be completely 100% covered here by the end of the year. So getting into why we chose Corva, why we wanted to do this partnership. I have a little bit of a diagram up here that kind of represents, from a service company's side, service company's perspective, how data is actually managed and communicated on location. On the left-hand side is, this is sort of the past, or what people currently have on most locations, where the client typically has their own sort of internal analytics, or maybe even some sort of third party. The service company is sort of off on their own, right? We're more of the data providers, and we're almost cut out of the loop. There's almost a wall there that we can't breach through. Usually ends up with us passing back and forth emails, even physical flash drives if we're going back that far. And there's this constant feedback loop of back and forth of, oh, this doesn't seem right. We need to fix this number, or this column doesn't seem right. This CSV isn't populated properly, so on and so forth. And it's just this never-ending grind. But with the capabilities now with Corva and Nextier, now all three of these parties can now operate on a single platform using a single source of truth from the data, and then start to experience digital synergies because of that. And what do I mean by digital synergies? Are really four different things. The first one is complete data transparency. I think as an industry, and especially from the service side, we're very protective of our data. I would say Nextier has a different way of looking at that. We actually want you guys to use it. We want you guys to see what we see, so that we're all making decisions in the same way at the same time towards the same goal. Operations have gotten so efficient with all of the technologies that are out there. We're not just looking at trying to eliminate 2 to 3 hours of downtime a day. We're now looking at trying to eliminate 5 minutes a day to try to gain that back as well. So that's not going to work unless we're all looking at the same data. Another thing that I'm sure that everybody has experienced is going into a client meeting, or going into any meeting, to be quite honest, where you're both trying to present a certain source of data, let's say NPT or pumping hours on location. You have one number, the client has another number, and whatever analytic company that you use has a completely different number, and no one knows how you got there or why you got there, and you end up spending more time trying to figure out why your numbers don't make sense instead of actually figuring out how to improve them. Having one source of data solves this problem. Everybody has one source of truth, and for Nextier, this truth derived straight from our equipment data. Integration of new service lines is obviously very big with Nextier, as I kind of took you through our integrated package. But being able to use Corva's Dev Center to plug and play with our different service lines as we bring them online is very important to us. We want to be able to seamlessly connect all of our equipment into the same platform, then display it for our client in one easy way, one easy application. That also extends into any advanced analytics that we want to do. Things that we do in a reservoir engineering department, whether it's offset well monitoring or any type of near wellbore analysis like we have with our lateral science division, which does custom optimized perforating. And then lastly, development power. What we have within Nextier, because of our digital infrastructure and the needs that we have in order to keep up with our own development, we have our own in-house people who are experienced with all of the same platforms that all of the Corva Dev Center developers are as well. So you get the combined development power of both Nexhub and Corva, which traditionally, if anybody's looked at the prices for third-party developers, they're pretty high right now. They're a very hot commodity. So it's nice to have that coming with not only your frac fleet, but also the developers that your frac fleet are also paired with. So getting into that development, and getting into some of the applications that Nextier is currently working on. You've heard me talk a lot about our integration, and you've heard me say about our power solutions, which is our natural gas fueling business. So what I have pictured up here is actually one of our Tier 4 dual fuel engines. So if you're not aware, what we have right now and what Nextier is currently the largest provider of are Tier 4 dual fuel engines, which consume both diesel and natural gas. So obviously this year, ESG is a very large topic for everyone, and this is one of the main sources of ESG benefits that we have as a company. So a dual fuel engine, like I said, uses two different fuel sources, which is diesel and natural gas. However, in order to optimize the amount of natural gas used, which will optimize your costs as well as lower your overall emissions for that engine, the engine needs to be running at a certain load percentage, and the fuel quality also has to be at a certain methane value. This is not an exact science. It might seem very black and white on paper, but when you add in how the well is treating, what type of sand you're running, what type of chemicals you're running, how many pumps you have on location, where that location is, what kind of gas are you getting? Are you getting field gas, CNG? I mean, the multiples go on and on and on. In order to maximize this value, maximize ESG benefits for our clients, you really have to know how the engine is running. And the constant question that we get at Nextier is, why is your substitution this percentage? How does that relate to what is going on location? So this brings us to the diesel displacement app. So this is the first app that Nextier is developing within Corva's Dev Center. So what this will visualize for our clients is actually the exact performance real time of our dual fuel fleets and how they're performing in relation to the actual treatment. So this is something that Nextier has never done before. We're actually displaying our raw equipment data for our clients. Service companies traditionally don't like to do this. But we feel like the only way that we're both going to learn better, we're both going to have ESG benefits is if we just put it out there for all of us to use. So if you can see here, this is a mock-up of our front-end environment that we have right now in our demo environment within Corva. But we're displaying our fleet-wide displacement percentage. This is a total percentage of diesel displacement that you're actually getting across the entire fleet, compared to one of the number one reasons why you can either displace or not displace, which is the percent load that is on the engine at the time, and then as well as proper gas supply. So very basic things. How's my engine performing? Do I have gas? Here's the resulting fleet-wide substitution that you can get from that. Now you couple this app in with the rest of the integrated completions package that Corva has to offer, you can start drawing some pretty powerful conclusions. You can start looking at, how does my treatment actually affect my pumps? How are my pumps actually substituting? So then you can start looking at not just how my equipment's running, but what are the decisions that I'm making on the engineering side? What are the decisions that I'm making about my sand, my FR, my chemicals, and how I'm actually pumping the job, and how is that actually translating into how my equipment is actually running? So this is something that as a service company that we do every day. But right now through Corva, what we're trying to do is bring all of our clients into that exact same conversation, look at the same data that we're looking at so they understand the decisions that we make and why we make them, and then we can start making them together. So a little bit of a look ahead at our roadmap here. I've already talked about our diesel displacement app, but we've already got several apps in line, I would say, in the Corva Dev Center queue. Two of them I've kind of already touched on, which is our offset well monitoring app that we have called Well Pulse. The second one is our lateral science app, which is an optimized perforating application that uses our own proprietary MSC algorithm in order to map optimized perforations across a wellbore. An integrated wireline and pump down application, as well as a new fiber optic visualization app that we're partnered with a mutual partner, which is Silixa. And then lastly, more power solutions apps. This is going to involve directly with fuel delivery on location now that we have included that in our integrated package that we can provide to our clients on location. So in the end, I would say what our partnership is going to actually provide for our clients is a heavy focus on ESG. It's a huge component of our business, which is why we're spending all of our initial time and effort into getting more visibility on how our actual natural gas fleets are performing on location and how we can help improve them. Secondly, with the list of applications that I just listed, you guys can see that we're already pretty far ahead as far as what these digital capabilities can actually enable, not only for Nextier, but our mutual clients can actually use and make decisions with on location. And then finally, our aligned incentives as far as an integrated solution. To us, it just makes sense if you have everybody on location working together and they're all actually using the same data and it's all being used in the same place, we can all eventually get to, I would say, a better place in making the right decision using the same source of truth.